Dr. Marcus Webb stood in the pristine white corridor of St. Catherine's Hospital, his arms crossed over his chest. Before him stood Dr. Amara Thompson, a black woman in her late 30s, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit despite the late hour. "I'm sorry, but I don't have time for this," Dr. Webb said dismissively, barely glancing at the elderly woman sitting in the wheelchair beside Dr. Thompson. "The ER is for emergencies. Your grandmother can wait until morning to see her regular physician." "She's having chest pains," Amara said, her voice steady despite the anger simmering beneath. "She needs to be examined now." Dr. Webb's eyes flickered with annoyance. "I've been working a double shift. There are other doctors available." He gestured vaguely down the hall, though they both knew the ER was understaffed that night. "You're the cardiologist on duty," Amara pressed. "Please, just examine her." "Listen," Dr. Webb leaned in, lowering his voice, "I don't know what kind of special treatment you're expecting, but this is a hospital, not a hotel. Your grandmother looks fine to me. Take her to the clinic tomorrow." The elderly woman, Mama Grace, clutched her chest, her breathing shallow. Amara's jaw tightened. She pulled out her phone and called another hospital, arranging for an ambulance transfer. As they wheeled Mama Grace away, she turned to look at Dr. Webb one last time. "You should remember this moment," Amara said quietly. "You never know who you're really talking to." Dr. Webb scoffed and walked away. The next morning, St. Catherine's Hospital was abuzz with unusual energy. Rumors had circulated all night about some kind of major announcement. The hospital had been struggling financially for years, teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. Everyone knew something had to give. Dr. Webb arrived at 8 a.m., still exhausted from his shift. He grabbed his coffee and headed to the staff lounge, where clusters of nurses and doctors were whispering excitedly. "Did you hear?" Nurse Patterson said, grabbing his arm. "Someone bought the hospital. A complete buyout. They're announcing the new owner this morning. Probably some corporate vulture," Dr. Webb muttered. "They'll cut half our staff and run this place into the ground." At 9 a.m., all staff were summoned to the main auditorium. Dr. Webb sat near the back, slouching in his seat. The hospital administrator, Mr. Chen, took the stage, looking more nervous than anyone had ever seen him. "Good morning, everyone. As you know, St. Catherine's has faced significant financial challenges. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have found not just an investor, but a visionary leader who will take this hospital into a new era." He paused, wiping his brow. "Please welcome the new owner and CEO of St. Catherine's Hospital, Dr. Amara Thompson." The auditorium fell silent, then erupted in confused murmurs. Dr. Webb sat bolt upright, his coffee cup slipping from his hand. Amara walked onto the stage, the same woman from last night, now commanding the room with her presence. She wore a sharp navy suit and carried herself with quiet authority. Behind her, a large screen displayed her credentials: Harvard Medical School, former chief of cardiology at Massachusetts General, founder of 3 successful medical startups, and philanthropist with a net worth of $500 million. "Thank you, Mr. Chen," Amara began, her voice clear and strong. "Last night, I came to this hospital seeking care for my grandmother, who helped raise me and sacrificed everything so I could become a doctor. She was experiencing a cardiac episode." She paused, letting her words sink in. She was turned away. A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Dr. Webb felt his face drain of color. "Fortunately, we made it to another hospital in time. She's stable now, recovering. But that experience reminded me why I went into medicine in the first place, and why I've spent the last decade building the resources to make a difference." After the announcement, Amara requested individual meetings with all department heads. Dr. Webb's appointment was scheduled for 2 p.m. He spent the hours leading up to it in a state of panic, consulting with the hospital's union representative. "You can't fire me for one incident," he insisted. "I've been here for 12 years. Dr. Webb, the representative said carefully, she owns the hospital now. And if she documents patient neglect, when 2 p.m. arrived, Dr. Webb entered Amara's new office with as much dignity as he could muster. The room had already been transformed, personal touches replacing the former administrator's hunting trophies. "Sit down, Dr. Webb," Amara said, not looking up from a file on her desk. When she finally raised her eyes to meet his, he saw no anger there, only a profound sadness. "Do you know what my grandmother told me this morning?" He shook his head, unable to speak. "She said, Amara, don't you fire that man. He probably had his reasons. Maybe he was tired, maybe he was hurting. People make mistakes." Amara leaned back in her chair. Mama Grace is 82 years old. She lived through segregation, through Jim Crow, through decades of being treated as less than human. And still, her first instinct is grace. "Dr. Thompson, she held up a hand. "I pulled your file. Excellent credentials. Harvard, like me. Top of your residency class. Stellar reviews for your first 8 years here. She closed the file. Then something changed. Patient complaints increased. Bedside manner deteriorated. 3 formal complaints in the last 2 years alone, all from patients of color. Dr. Webb's face flushed. That's not what it looks like. Then what is it? Amara asked, genuinely curious. Because from where I'm sitting, I see a talented doctor who's lost his way. For a long moment, silence hung between them. Then, unexpectedly, Dr. Webb's composure cracked. My son, he said quietly. 3 years ago, my son was killed. Wrong place, wrong time, caught in gang crossfire in the city. His voice broke. The kids who did it, they looked like your grandmother. Like you. And I know, he looked up, tears streaming down his face, I know that's not rational. I know that's not right. But every time I just see him. And I remember. Amara was quiet for a moment. I'm sorry for your loss, Dr. Webb. Truly. But your pain doesn't give you the right to harm others. Those patients you turned away, they have families too. They have people who love them. I know, he whispered. God, I know. Amara stood and walked to the window, looking out over the hospital grounds. I'm not going to fire you, Dr. Webb. His head snapped up in surprise. But I am going to offer you a choice, she continued. You can resign, take a generous severance package, and I'll write you a neutral reference. Or you can stay, under conditions. What conditions? You'll undergo counseling, both for your grief and for implicit bias training. You'll be on probation for 1 year, during which any complaint will be thoroughly investigated. You'll work with Dr. Martinez in our community outreach program, providing free care in underserved neighborhoods. She turned to face him. And you'll do it with the same dedication you brought to medicine when you first took your oath. Dr. Webb stared at her, stunned. Why? Why would you give me this chance? Because Mama Grace is right. People make mistakes. People carry pain. And sometimes, people can heal. She returned to her desk. But understand this, I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this because this hospital serves a diverse community, and every patient deserves the best care. If you can't become the doctor this community needs, then you don't belong here. The choice is yours. Dr. Webb thought about his son, about the man he used to be, about the oath he'd taken so many years ago. I'll stay, he said finally. And I'll do the work. I promise. 6 months later, St. Catherine's Hospital was unrecognizable. Under Amara's leadership, it had become a model of inclusive healthcare. She'd recruited diverse staff, implemented bias training for everyone, and created programs specifically designed to address healthcare disparities in the community. Dr. Webb kept his promise. The counseling was brutal, forcing him to confront his grief and his prejudices. Working in the community clinic opened his eyes to the systemic barriers that prevented so many from accessing quality care. One Saturday, he found himself at a community health fair in the same neighborhood where his son had died. An elderly black woman approached his booth, clutching her chest. For a moment, he froze, memories threatening to overwhelm him, then he took a breath and smiled. Hello, ma'am. I'm Dr. Webb. Tell me what's troubling you today. As he examined her, listening to her heart, asking about her symptoms with genuine care, he felt something shift inside him. This woman wasn't responsible for his son's death. She was just a human being who needed help. And he was a doctor who could provide it. Later that day, Amara visited the health fair. She watched from a distance as Dr. Webb patiently explained medication instructions to a young mother, his demeanor completely transformed from the man she'd met that terrible night. He's doing well, Dr. Martinez said, coming to stand beside her. Really well. The patients love him. Amara nodded. Everyone deserves a chance to be better than their worst moment. A year after that fateful night, St. Catherine's Hospital held its annual gala. The event celebrated the hospital's transformation and raised funds for the new community health centers Amara had established throughout the city. Dr. Webb arrived with his ex-wife, Sarah, whom he'd been reconciling with through his counseling journey. When he saw Amara across the room, he excused himself and approached her. Dr. Thompson, he said formally. Thank you for coming. Wouldn't miss it, she replied warmly. I hear you're leading the new cardiac care initiative in the West Side Clinic. Yes. He smiled, genuine pride in his voice. We've screened over 500 patients in the last 3 months. Caught a dozen serious conditions early. He paused. I wanted to thank you. For giving me a chance when I didn't deserve one. You earned it, Amara said. Every day since. At that moment, Mama Grace approached in her wheelchair, pushed by Amara's teenage daughter. The elderly woman looked up at Dr. Webb, studying his face. "You're the doctor from that night," she said, "not a question. Doctor." Webb knelt down to her level. "Yes, ma'am. And I owe you an apology. What I did was wrong, inexcusable. I'm sorry." Mama Grace reached out and patted his cheek gently. "I forgave you that same night, baby. The question was always whether you'd forgive yourself." As the gala continued, with music and laughter filling the renovated hospital ballroom, Dr. Webb found himself standing on the balcony, looking out at the city lights. Sarah joined him, slipping her hand into his. "You know," she said softly, "our son would be proud of you. The man you're becoming." "I hope so," Dr. Webb replied. "I really hope so." Inside, Amara gave her keynote speech, talking about the power of second chances, the importance of accountability, and the possibility of transformation. She spoke about building systems that served everyone, not just the privileged few. "A year ago," she concluded, "I came to this hospital and was turned away. Today, I stand before you as living proof that our pain can become our purpose. The question isn't whether we'll face prejudice, obstacles, or moments that test our humanity. The question is, what will we do with those moments? Will we let them harden our hearts, or will we use them to build something better?" The audience rose in a standing ovation. 5 years later, St. Catherine's Hospital had become a national model for healthcare equity. Dr. Webb, now chief of community cardiology, had published papers on addressing implicit bias in medical care and trained hundreds of doctors across the country. Mama Grace, at 87, volunteered at the hospital's welcome desk, greeting patients with her warm smile and wise words. She'd become something of a legend, the grandmother who inspired a revolution in care. And Amara? She'd expanded her vision, purchasing 3 more struggling hospitals in underserved communities, transforming each one into a beacon of inclusive, excellent care. On the anniversary of that fateful night, she and Dr. Webb started a tradition. They'd work a shift together in the ER, treating whoever came through the doors. It was their reminder that every patient deserved to be seen, to be heard, to be cared for, no matter who they were or who was having a bad day, because in the end, that's what healing was about, not just mending bodies, but mending the broken places in ourselves and our communities. One patient, one moment, one choice at a time.